Yeah, I'm ready.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Let me click on this. And behold, the podcast has started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk to the Internet, number 38. Man, one of these weeks I'm going to say that with confidence, but that's not this one. Right off the top, Bruce is not here today. He's enjoying his birthday. And you should go wish him well, if you can today. Joined by Criken and Dave. Hey, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
I like what you did for Bruce. He's all spruced up today on a special day.
Yeah, he looks good, right? Oh, wait. I was going to do this before we started, but I might as well do it now. I will express creativity myself, and boy, I haven't used Paint in a long time. This will take me a second, but I guess while we're doing that, we were in the middle of discussing a creative endeavor of yours, wherein you are attempting to recreate the seminal movie, the millennial film Shrek, in, what is it, Divinity Original Sin 2 or 1?
Yes, definitive edition, Lawrence.
Of course.
I'm not gonna let you drag that game through the grime. Okay, it is Divinity Original Sin 2 definitive edition.
Okay.
And it's even more definitive because we have about 55 mods active.
It's even more definitive because they're harder to use. Every single mod makes the game slightly more definitively harder to manage.
Yes. It is at the point where there are thousands of new skills. We don't quite sure know how each of them work, and we are constantly learning the hard way. It's, the whole Shrek kind of framing came kind of as an afterthought. I wouldn't say we set out to do that at all. I think we set out to have a fun little co-op playthrough, and then I did a Twitter poll of what modded character I should make, and they picked a cow for me. And so I decided to name myself after the famous cow from Shrek, named Donkey. And then the rest was history. One of the other characters that Dave had access to was a tiny version of Shrek, where you can put Shrek's face on it and change his skin color to whatever you want. So he is not Shrek, but he is Shrunk. If you like to take it from there, Prince Shrunk.
The blue prince, they call him.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make a nice little cake for Bruce. There we go. I would say that's about equal with recreating the hit movie Shrek in a game engine. It's funny you bring that up. This may be a bit of a swerve. I would like to hear more about the trials and tribulations you guys are facing.
Oh, God.
Well, I guess let's just do that. What possible problems could you be running into recreating Shrek, given that we all know and love it so much?
We had about an hour and a half of technical problems where Divinity's, because it's so definitively done, it really doesn't like it when you add more mods to it when it comes to loading. And it takes upwards of an hour to load into a multiplayer game that has mods if you don't have the same mods installed the same way. And so the first attempt we had at playing this, we spent literally an hour and a half going into the pre-show and the actual stream itself, trying to get Dave in the game. Eventually we said screw it, and we loaded a split-screen co-op playthrough on Xbox controllers where he was using Parsec to beam in and control one of my half the perspective. So technical issues aside, we then were faced with the harsh reality that when you're doing a two-player playthrough of Divinity, enemies focus you a lot more, and so we've had to learn what our custom classes do the hard way, and it's led to some hilarious moments.
Divinity, for anyone who doesn't know, is it 4 or 5 players you have to control usually?
It's 4.
It's a small party.
Yeah.
And with half the people, you could imagine you take double the damage. That's a bit of math there for anyone who... But I honestly thought, Criken, you'd go along the angle of how hard it is artistically as artists to recreate Shrek.
Why don't you capture that part?
I think it was, Shrek, I feel, has been done a lot. There's like 4 movies, and also the Shrek Retold thing. Do you remember that? The little... Oh. I think it's a whole movie where it's animated.
Where they reanimated? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Wait, whoa. Shrek Retold. Hold on a minute.
Have you not
Yeah.
seen this, Lawrence?
I've never heard of
man,
this.
this is right up your alley.
2018 film. Oh, what? Huh? Oh, did they do the thing where they like take a minute and give it out to different animators and stuff?
Yes.
Ah,
Exactly.
dude, that sounds awesome.
There's live action segments too. I think, was there a new song? Like they redid the song without, like it was their own audio they
yeah.
used for that part. They did something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's all different animation styles. It's quite clever.
This is almost as good a discovery as Killer Bean. Damn. Okay. Sorry, got a bit sidetracked there. You were discussing the creative tribulations of recreating this masterpiece. Would you say that
Yeah,
there's
I
a
think-
new creative heart that is now beating in its place since something could start off with imitation, but either through restriction or through ingenuity becomes its own thing in the process? At what point have you
Oh, for
tipped
sure.
over and creatively
Yeah.
own everything about this?
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
avoiding copyright issues with blue
Yeah.
Shrek instead of green.
Was that DreamWorks or 20th Century? Don't sue is what. That's the long and short of this here.
Well, frankly, I don't think any company would want to come near our original characters with a 10,000-foot pole, as my character literally has udders hanging out of his dick, and as it has been pointed out to me, only female cows have udders, and
That's
I'm playing a
correct.
male character, so it canonically, don't tell my viewers this, but it isn't actually udders. They're for
Lactation?
pustulant postural appendages that are sewn into his crotch side. Yeah.
Well, that's news to me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I tried to
thanks.
shield you from that. But it all comes out on this podcast, as we know.
This is like our weekly therapy session, where we not only invent billion-dollar deals, but also find new levels of emotional catharsis.
Yes. Female cows, also known as cows. Yes, it's true. There's cows and bulls. Bulls are the male version of cow.
Oh, that's right.
Everyone forgets this, including me.
Wait. So if there are cows and then bulls, which one is they're all cows though, right?
No.
But
Cows,
okay,
cows
then
is female.
Yeah, is
so
there a
what's like the
gender-neutral
scientific name? Like this is a bull cow.
A
or this is
bovine.
A bovine?
Yeah.
Only,
I think so, right?
That doesn't sound cool to say. We want something cool to say.
I think cow is just it's catchy. It's marketable.
Okay.
I'm a bull cow.
Wait a minute.
If you want to rebrand bulls as cows, go for it. I won't stop you.
I've done the bare minimum of searching because yes, I do agree. You've pointed out a massive flaw in the English language. I think the gender neutral collective is cattle. So
Well, that's just a bunch of them in a pen, right? Where you throw them around and hop on, give them a good old what's he do?
have you
What do you mean?
have you ever been around a horse or a cow in your life? Okay.
No. This
That
is
was close.
How I imagine it goes. Was it close?
Yeah,
Alright,
you almost fooled me. This is a bit of a swerve, and I apologize in advance. But your discussion of cattle reminded me. So I saw a tweet today. Is like, what's something you remember doing from your childhood that you miss, or something from your childhood that you miss? Generally innocent question, but really kind of opened up a pretty big pile of negative memories. I realized. But one was going to the stockyards because my camera just freaked out. Going to the stockyards in Texas, which I don't consider necessarily a positive memory, but it was a memory. But yeah, man, horses are weird. They're big and they smell funny and they like got a brain and you never know what's going on in there. So that's interesting. But I recommend Criken, for the sake of this and perhaps as writer's research, you should go check out a stockyard sometime. Go watch like
Okay.
a cattle auction. Now that's
Do they have any humanoid ones?
Like-
Because just for research, I think I
human
need-
looking cows.
Yeah.
That I think would have an entirely different
Actually-
connotation in the South.
So I have seen it. It's only human-like because it's so grotesque. It was a like perfectly bred, ultra bull cattle cow. It was like all muscle. It was huge.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Do you know the one? They're like, I think it was through selective breeding. And and it like we had to watch it for science, like biology class, and it's like this hugely jacked cow. Like the muscles are so big they look like arms, and it can like it's like several tons in weight, more than a regular cow. I'd say that is as close to a human-like cow as we can get. But it's just unsettling to watch.
I think that's my goal for my character.
Oh, you want to be unsettling?
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, I'm already there, baby. My character has got no sense of. Actually, I forgot the most important part. In our rendition of Shrek, Donkey's played by. We named him Heiferoth. Because he has the hair of Sephiroth. Carries around a big scythe, and is basically the Grim Reaper. But he's also a cow, and he has horns. So we're trying to hit all the bases with this.
We live in
this design.
In this sort of dangerous world where you're slightly attracted to but repulsed by Heiferoth. It's a tough sell for a lot of people. They struggle, but they'll get there. They'll decide at the end of the campaign. They'll decide whether or not he was good or bad enough to love or hate.
We're gonna have like a cast your vote, where there's like a hot or not scale at the very end of the final cutscene,
like a Tinder date.
Yeah, this was the whole date. You've been watching it. This 40-hour playthrough. Was Heiferoth hot or not?
You can watch the arrow like slamming back and forth between the two extremes, depending on the scene.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, though. Clearly you got that mind for interactive storytelling.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. People, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone watches everything on the internet, for sexual stimulation, or so I assume. Mm-hmm. So, we're really doing a service here with long form content, playing two cows in a RPG.
All right.
Sorry, I'm like listening to myself, and as I'm saying these words, I hate
after
myself.
the fact.
Yeah,
I mean, really, like, why? Stop.
It's really bad. I don't know why I keep digging this grave for myself.
No, it's good. If there's one thing I think everybody enjoys, it's hearing somebody who's passionate about what they're doing describe what they're doing. And yeah, I wonder, and this is maybe more of a probing question or too much of a swerve, but do you find, Criken and Dave, that these inspirations come to you regularly? Do you find that you have like more desires to explore interactive storytelling than you have time, or sometimes you just kind of sit down and try to figure out where to go? I guess it's a creative process question, because I'm finding now that I'm in different circumstances, I'm exploring that a lot more than I used to be able to. So I'm just curious where your guys' heads are at about that.
Well, yeah, Dave and I play together a lot, especially nowadays after the founding of Sonic Club and Monkey Business TM.
Thank you for including Monkey Business TM.
I knew you would be upset if I didn't. And it really just kind of comes. I think we just have well, I'm not going to speak for him. I feel we have good chemistry, and so whenever we've hopped in a game, it's just kind of been like a natural, like kind of ping-ponging off each other in bits, and then we end up somewhere we didn't expect, and hence the origination of something like Sonic Club or Monkey Business, or even this Shrek playthrough was literally me. We said, hey, doing a co-op Divinity playthrough would be fun. I looked through the mods, I found the cow and the Shrek, and I went to him and I said, do you want to do this? And he saw the Shrek and he said yes, and then the rest was history.
Yeah, it really is like that, because I think a lot of the time we start off, the biggest thing I'd say is the medium you use, or like the game you play, or like the base of it. If it has enough freedom to let you try something wacky and new, it's super easy for like a sudden narrative to appear in the story. Like if we didn't have the Donkey and Shrek models, or if we didn't have like this sort of ping pong dynamic between us to play games, it really helps with like building something, and people like watching, being able to build something from what's going on.
I had another thought, because where my head's at right now, or kind of the sphere of gaming that I've been moving in lately, is getting like drip feed updates to the kinds of like constant, persistent world games that I really enjoy. Specifically, this week, Destiny 2 and Final Fantasy 14. But I know that like that's not necessarily Criken specifically, Dave. Not sure where your taste lies, but Criken, I know you're kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you tend to like games that are more of tool sets that you can sort of tell stories creatively through. I wonder, and I thought about this, is there a way to do like a tool set as a service? Because as it is, yeah, okay. Does it? There's like Creative Cloud. That's where my head went, but I'd be curious.
That
to know.
that is my side company, Lawrence. You're pitching what I do when I'm not streaming.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Okay. Tell me.
Not really in game engine. Trey brings up a good point through like Gmod is
Gmod,
like
for sure,
an example of that as a game. What I've been working on with my co-founder Lauren out here in Los Angeles is we've been building basically show running tools for entertainers for live entertainment that allow for audience interactivity and in general being able to kind of dismantle kind of a game as like a canvas, right? And then being able to build it back up to tell whatever story or make whatever content you want. So we're still, in the tool development phase of that, but we have kind of our first couple, shows that we're currently running to test it out. Yeah, it's been a interesting ride, mostly because we're like so cutting edge ahead of where most other companies or kind of people are thinking of this stuff, that it goes through many steps of pitching to convince them that we're worth any sort of investment or funds to actually make something. But you participated in a rushed but a version of this, Lawrence, when we did Operation Kingpin last November. That was through the same company. We just basically were offered to make a show within a month, given the video backpacks, and that's how we came up with.
Got it. Okay, man, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're living in the future.
It's not so good over here.
No, that's
yeah.
Man, that
the
is
virus
a phenomenon.
is still around. I'm sorry, it's going to be around for a little while. So
Yeah.
just warn you all. Yeah, buckle down.
I like to think
Stay
it's
buckled
the
down.
future, but it's like 4 minutes in the future.
Yeah, it's not.
like
Yeah, that's how I think I'm the same way. I see everything shit first, and I go, and then I have to wait 4 minutes to talk about it with everyone else.
yeah.
You don't want to be the guy telling everyone it's only going to get worse over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
I
What
just
else are you supposed
I'm
to do?
just chock full of 4 minutes of secrets.
Hey, that's enough to like win some money on sports or something, right?
I don't know
Card
if you put
games?
your bet down 4 minutes before it's
Yeah,
over.
the end of the game.
Yeah, but it might work for. Well, it would work for like slots, but you'd have to play it. You have to give it money first to see what it's gonna get you. I don't know.
Is this like live, die,
I
repeat
don't know.
scenario? Because if you can always see 4 minutes into the future, or you're living 4 minutes in the future, you could like win Champion League boxing matches, right? If you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
God,
I guess.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's more like I see everything 4 minutes in the future, and then I time myself to wait 4 minutes to react to it. So if I ever seem like I'm like dazing off, it's because I'm actually counting in my head when I need to say
Got it.
what I need to say, because I've already done this before.
Because the government's going to come after you if they know you have time power.
Yes.
That's the worst. Shoot. That's someone's going to... Yeah, doesn't matter. That's, Criken, some of the business woes you talked about. Man, are they weirdly familiar. It's the weird sense of like knowing that something's going to go somewhere, and maybe sometimes even other people know, but not everyone's convinced about timing. I think sometimes some people think it's just not there yet. Meanwhile, it is. The thing that drives me up a wall is when data, like the graphs are all going up, and you're just like, yeah. I guess there's multiple ways to interpret data, but
Right. It's one of those things where it's like we're trying to convince them. We have like plenty of data to show this is the future, It's just like, to make it reality, we need investment, and then like that's the tricky part, is they want to wait to see what, like, it more flushed out, but they're not willing to go in early.
Yeah.
So we've been really kind of scrappy with how we've gotten it to where it is now. But
the big problem, I'd say, is that like people know it's gonna go this way or it's gonna happen, but in order to get there, someone has to be like working on it and funding it now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that in like science where people are like, oh yeah, we could probably like do this, and then it just kind of gets left on a paper that someone wrote like a year or two ago, and no one's working on it anymore. I definitely get those kind of vibes from like the really interactive Twitch stuff with like making, because the tools are all in place almost. Like you've got like add-ons for your stream, you've got like really easy ways for people to connect in. You just kind of need the refining process to be really good for now, and it's going to take a while, I think.
Yeah. And part of that
sooner
process,
rather than later would be good. Yeah.
Part of that process that like people don't think about is the education part, because if you think of like all the different stages of Twitch, all these new parts of the culture, either through features or new games or genres, like just chatting or whatever, have like come in and changed how people use the site. And so we kind of believe that audience interactivity, although it's already been on the site, it's not kind of prevalent enough or integrated enough that you kind of see it, more iterations of it. The main iteration is like streamer talks to chat does subscription or whatever, and then streamer acknowledges that maybe they have a ritual they do whenever they get a subscription. Maybe it's just a sub alert. That's like base, floor zero is that sort of interaction. But if you think about it as event of subscription, and then it could trigger a whole bunch of different stuff that then has implications that maybe even the streamer doesn't even know about, and then like later on in the show, based on how many subscribers there were, it will change an effect in their gameplay, and then suddenly it becomes a conversation, and like chat knows something that they don't, sort of thing. And I think that's a really powerful tool, because once you have kind of secrets you can hold between the entertainer and the audience, there's like so many more design opportunities.
Yeah. Well, so what's the I have a couple. I'm so desperately curious to like, I want to float above you when you're pitching the future to people and just see the magic happen. I would love to get a sales deck or a sales pitch from Criken, because I would say yes anyway. But what's like? Do you have a particular vision of the future you like selling people on? Because you describe it loosely there, where the integration between, or the information disparity between like audience and streamer, are really like host, the one-to-many relationship kind of thing, gets more tweaked and played with. But like, let's say this is 4 minutes in the future, Criken, and your interactive platform is the number one tool set that all interactive streamers use to tell stories. How would that affect, let's say, for instance, your Shrek experiment? Would it be more than just sort of feeding off of narratives that you read in chat and integrating those into the game? Would it be more direct? And
yeah, depends on the show. I think like I wouldn't really throw in an interaction without some forethought, where I would like bake it into the design of the show. But like one of the features of one of the mods we do is like it triggers a elite boss every random encounter. So one of the enemies that we encounter just gets more stats, more abilities, is just harder, and it might put it on in a really tough encounter or in a really easy encounter, and then like a rat turns into an elite boss or whatever. But there's a lot of ways that I think it would be cool if we could have. Well, okay, so one of the things that we really experiment with what we're doing is having a producer involved with the show alongside the main streamer. Most streamers are kind of used to just streaming alone, and then it's them and their audience. But having a producer allows for things to be run. The streamer isn't directly running themselves, that can then fold back into the show. So when you have someone that's running an extension on your screen and you haven't, pressed the buttons yourself and you're just in game, and then suddenly chat erupts into, strategizing around what they're seeing on the screen. Like, that's a really exciting moment, because you're like, okay, something's coming. I don't know what it is. And then certain games allow you to use either console commands or mods or whatever to basically inject these enemies or events or something that the audience have picked into the game. Others don't, and then it's more of a kind of a creative, subjective thing where maybe the streamer, based on audience input, will change the, character or the roleplay path of the character of a show. So, the Blue Prince in our Divinity playthrough, Prince Stronk, maybe there's like an audience interaction where, if enough people can like flip him, then like for 5 minutes he turns hostile and will start attacking me as well, and I've got to like pacify him by singing all of Smash Mouth, or all of All Star or something. Terrible example, but an example nonetheless. So
yeah. I think as well with on that train of thought, it was like the whole producer aspect of it. I don't know, it's very popular right now, but if you've heard of AI Dungeon 2, that was the closest thing to like an automated producer for a story. And I've worked with AI a little bit, but not in like storytelling or gameplay, but like other much more simple things, like facial recognition and like, motion tracking for video.
Yeah, much simpler.
It is really, because one of the things with like AI Dungeon is that like you can feed in information and you can say, okay, there's a character called this, and it remembers that. And as long as you sort of note it down, it remembers. So if you had like that attached with like a stream on Twitch where it had a list of commands where it could make a character and give it attributes from like based on the number of subs or like people in chat, like give it a name and a personality. Like AI Dungeon is really, really good at giving characters like, okay, this is your friend or this is an enemy, and it acts out really, really well. Like if it's the bad guy, they'll say like, ho ho ho, I've come to steal your like hand or whatever. And if it's a friend, it like really does it well. I tried it out just a couple of days ago, and I was really impressed with like where it is. And I think if it was like attached to a game, especially one like Divinity, where there's really in-depth, like the mechanics are made in a way that after you've played the game and you understand kind of how, the fights work and stuff, you can actually go away and make your own campaign. It gives you a lot of tools to do that. And if you like paired the two somehow, it obviously would take another piece of software to link like a Twitch interactive thing and a game. You'd always need a different link for every different game you play. But if you had that, it would definitely change any experience you have. It would be like completely different every time, almost like a roguelike, just because you have like an AI feeding in new information and building new things. I think that's definitely one place I'd like to see things go, just to keep it random.
It kind of sounds like, and Trey kind of got there in chat too. It sounds like you're describing the relationship or injection of what a DM is for a Dungeons and Dragons game. You have an operator that's sort of theoretically plotting these like mass movements of drama or setups and then reveals. And it's that architecture and framework that someone has to invent on the fly or reactive to players or viewers. Yeah, and the idea that could be replaced by an AI or that function could be executed by an AI to some success is pretty interesting because, man, in a way, that's kind of what video games are, especially the RPGs. They're pre-coded D&D campaigns. And yeah, the injection of AI into that is kind of, that's the only way, from my perspective, thinking about games more as like single-player consumption experiences. I think that's the only way you can kind of get to the living, breathing world idea that RPGs promise, but usually fall a little short of just because of the inhuman nature of them.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
man. Once that AI hits,
I was about to go to Cyberpunk, Lawrence. I
'Cause that's
was
the-
literally about to do it.
that's the image. Like that's the next thing that everyone's pinning their hopes on, to be a virtual reality that you can step into and do whatever you want. I think hopefully by now most people know that that's not a realistic thing to expect. But man, when the AIs start making games, they make games
Yeah.
forever. But then what are they going to charge you for? I guess then it has to be a subscription. And we've come full circle, I think.
I also think there's big things that AI can't do, and because I'm not sure how AI Dungeon works, but with like anyone I've worked with, it's like the neural networks, like the real good brain AIs, are like, I'm maximizing this function, and sometimes other things will suffer. So if my AI is like build the perfect level, like, you know, have characters and things to talk to, it would probably just be like, okay, I'm gonna make one room with like all of these characters to talk to, and there's like nothing else in the room, just these guys, and you talk to them, and it's the perfect story, but it doesn't have the rest of the things that, you know, developers put into games that make them like magical.
Yeah, I watched some of your AI Dungeon stream, and it was really, really entertaining. It's fascinating what that system, where its mind goes. Like, it makes sense though. Everything about it is like, you really understand how the machine is processing. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any like fun anecdotes you want to share from it? There were a couple
From
that were
the
great.
AI Dungeon stream.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. That I did a run where chat was in control of the AI, so I would just take a random message from chat and put it in, and see what happened. And there was a point where I think the story was, it was a fantasy realm where the chat had gone and they met some Eternals. I'm not sure if they were like giants or anything, but the story kept getting to the point where the Eternal would give the chat one of their eyes. Like the Eternal would remove its eye and give it to the chat. But I think it happened so many times that one of the Eternals definitely had no eyes left. And the chat would say something like, "You don't have any eyes. Do you want one of mine?" And the AI was like, "The Eternal removes another eye and gives it to you." So it's like this
you're assuming
many-eyed
Eternals already have
creature.
Caught in a loop.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got an iPod and it keeps regenerating them.
Yeah, so it's like you have to kind of like force the story out of those loops sometimes.
And then you're
And
kind of
then let it
banking
do
on,
its own thing.
Yeah, well, that's when storytelling gets wild, because you're kind of banking on the human mind's tendency to connect things that may not naturally be connected. Right. That's where it's where all the magic comes from. Give me a vision of the future, where any art, music, movies, whatever, is not merely a like natural selection, screened out random combination from an AI. So like, an AI can randomly mash up drum tracks and a bass track and whatever, and it can use big machine learning to sort of tune itself towards the BPM or the structures and rhythms and sounds that people want to hear in a given moment, and then it just vomits it all over Spotify. And then whatever people listen to or gravitate towards gets upvoted. You brand it, you give it a name, you give it a persona, and then it's just AI's roaring on overtime.
Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, I think there's still a human touch to that.
That is true. Yeah, I was just thinking of the Metal Gear Otacon and his Hatsune Miku.
Pissing his pants?
The one thing I think the AI will struggle to do is probably comedy. Mainly because comedy is in this weird place where the thing that makes a joke funny changes a lot. Because sometimes it's just the timing, sometimes it's just how you say it, sometimes it's the content of the joke, like linking it to something you said earlier, because you could just say a one-liner that, it wouldn't be funny unless there was a setup and things. And AI would kind of just be like, the joke is funny because you say it really pitched up, right? Like, because I think of, like, stand-up comedy is literally just people talking sometimes. And people laugh at random times. And if an AI just took that in and was like, oh, people laugh when you say this, it would probably take, like, one of the lines and say, it'll, like, talk about random stuff, say the line, and it's not funny because it hasn't picked up exactly why yet. But that's something people do really well, is like, oh, that's funny. I'm sometimes you're not sure why you're laughing, but you know it's funny in a way.
I appreciate the what I guess the way I would phrase that is that there's something incalculable about the human experience that gives us the ability to capture good music, comedic timing, and all those elements that I think I would say in our hubris we don't think AI will get. But I don't know. To me, my counterpoint is like random humor. I think an AI can do that easily, and I've seen random or absurdist humor created by humans that very easily could have just been a shuffle of the dice from an AI. Especially if an AI can generate 100,000 videos in a day of random humor, and then through the magic of YouTube sorting algorithms, the good ones rise to the top. Air quotes good, just whatever people happen to like at the moment. So
now I think you're completely right. And there was a Twitter account called like shitpostbot like 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still to this day not sure if it's a computer or a human behind that, because it's that random humor that's like I don't understand. It is making me laugh. I just don't know like anything about what the thought process behind this is. I think that stuff, yeah, you're definitely right. That's definitely possible.
Yeah, but I feel like that's partly also the humor of an AI is silly AI. That's not how that works. And that's
that's a child.
Yeah, that's like where all the AI humor has been, and I don't know. I think eventually we'll evolve to the point where, AI can actually be funny without that being the bit that it's an AI, but I don't think we're there yet, for sure.
Well, I appreciate you guys indulging me on exploring future topics. I do have a topic for right now, though, or maybe 4 minutes in the future, Criken, if you feel like letting the mask slip. I've been thinking about, still basically, or almost convinced myself to, and this makes me a hero, by the way, taking just an entire week off, just not streaming for a while. And I want some kind of like menial bullshit thing to do over that week. I was hoping to get like, I looked on Amazon for a jigsaw puzzle, and the cowards really only make them up to 1,000 pieces. I wanted like a box where when I open it and turn it upside down, it's just dust, and then I have to like put together the puzzle with a pair of tweezers and magnifying glass. What do you guys have any ideas for like something on the level of, I don't know, building a Gundam or something? What's a week-long dumb task that I can do on a coffee table, and then at the end of the week put my fists on my hips, say yes I've done it, and then immediately throw it in the trash?
What you're describing sounds like the antithesis of my week off, so I don't know if I can be of much help here, but
do you need like to produce something of lasting value for yourself when you take time off?
Well, first, I'm really bad at taking time off. But second, I think it's always in some way or form a digital investment to something, which is also probably not good for me. Having some physical project does sound like a really nice time. Some of my friends are really into Warhammer, especially painting miniatures. I think that would probably be where I would tend to lean my time towards, if anything, is because at least then I end up with a thing that is mine. I have personalized it. I've made it my own, imperfections and all. And should it ever be used in an actual game of Warhammer, then I feel like I did something productive.
Cool. Okay, I will keep that in mind.
Do you want it to be something physical, like like working with wood and like a chisel and like carving something, or could it be like a digital thing? Because for me, I think learning a little bit of code like in a week, there's tons of really like easy free courses you can do to like learn a tiny bit and just build like a small program that does something useless, and it's a really rewarding feeling to be like, oh wow, like I learned something. And it could be like if you have multiple weeks, over a year where you make a new program, challenging yourself to do something new every time, you'll end up like being able to code in a language, semi-decently. And it doesn't seem useful, but I think it's something about understanding like a workflow and a process and a little bit of software development, that really, it's a nice feeling for me, because I am a nerd deep down inside.
Not that deep, Dave. It's it's fairly surface level as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have to admit, yeah, it wasn't super obscured when your recommendation for a week off was learning to code. Oh, wait, were you saying that just because of the ad here? Oh, man.
Oh my God!
Was there an ad?
We got subliminals.
He got us.
Yeah, there was a
There's
Reddit
literally
ad.
a learn to code ad on the screen. He was just reading.
Oh my God! I didn't
the
know that.
description of it.
You did the thing where somebody asks you what's your you're just looking around the room. I'm gonna make a coffee mug.
Yeah.
No, that's a valid suggestion. I do have a background in coding, but I haven't dusted it off in a while. And there are a number of this might get a little too technical, but what is the API like for Twitch and I guess Stream Elements specifically? Because
I downloaded that. Yeah.
Okay. They have a dev kit for.
Yep, they certainly do. I've worked with developers in it, and there's a lot of fun stuff you can do. Like one of actually our friends that we play games with occasionally is a coder that just kind of will do whatever fun little side project we throw at him. For work, we pay him, but it's one of the ones that he built for me was a randomized sub-alert system, which is basically it instead of using the crusty old Stream Elements or Streamlabs upload a sub sound here, it's an application where I point the sub sounds at a folder and it will randomly pick one from any sound file in that folder. So it's infinitely scalable, right? I think I currently have 2,600 different sub sounds that are just available to be triggered, and they're all random. It's a fun bit, but there's plenty of tools like that as streamers we know people would like, or even if they're just only usable in my stream as they're a really niche piece of our culture, that could go over really well. And actually being able to do that yourself or effectively communicate with someone that does the coding would be a really good use of your time.
Well, yep. I mean, I remember gushing about it before, but that's exactly the kind of tool I've been looking for. Because I'm a big fan of randomized media too. You've been doing Elder Scrolls or Oblivion lines, right, Criken?
Yeah, it started with Oblivion lines. I spent multiple days going through. I made the mistake. So basically, we found a way to de-encrypt all of Oblivion voice lines. And then I first started going through. I was like, hey, I'll start with the Imperial Mail. What people don't know about Oblivion is, well, they probably do. Anyone else would probably know this. Oblivion is almost 80% consisting of Imperial Mail. That is just it is in the Empire after all. So there were significantly more voice lines than I expected. And after 3 or 4 days of, I think I only made it to 60% through the entire folder, and got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines that I deemed good enough. And that's when I finally said, all right, I could use some help. And I looped in Jacksaw, who I see in your chat right now, as kind of our resident voice finder. And together we've been kind of looking through a ton of different games, both that have appeared on stream, and then just kind of represent our culture in some way or another. So we got a lot of Warhammer games, we got some Star Wars games, we got a whole bunch of stuff. But it's an ever expanding project that is never satisfied. But it also means that you can have themed sub alerts a lot easier. So for example, during Sonic Club days, where Dave and I play either Sonic or Mario games, we have now a folder of only Sonic and Mario voices, and that's always a fun thematic voice to hear.
It really changes the chat too, because it's there are some really famous voice lines that come on and everyone gets that little hit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Or I know when we do Sonic Club, anytime Maria is mentioned, it just lights up. It's a really, really nice feeling. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was done.
Oh, there's something that something I've been brewing on, and again, this is good week off project material. It is kind of the intersection of both the things that we've been talking about, the interactive elements and even the AI or randomly generated elements. I've been building this I'm trying to think of how far to throw this back. So I'm a pretty big fan of media collage. Everything is Terrible kind of does a lot of old VHS tapes, but I used to remember really liking Cinematech way back on G4, just random cutscenes. I always felt like it's fun to develop a narrative in your head connected to what is seemingly random media. So what I wanted to do is, and what I have been doing is sort of clipping out a bunch of 90-second to 3-minute video clips and then annotating them with metadata. What I wanted to do in the long run is have a Twitch audience kind of vote on various subcategories based on those meta tags, and then sort of make a procedural kind of media collage based on the ebb and flow of Twitch chat and what they're voting on they want to see and whatever conversations they're having. The next tier above that is to do that in addition to playing music, because like I think every dude who ever listened to an EDM album they really liked, it would be cool to mix music together. So what I would like to do is have the audience voting on visual media, while in response to that I'm putting tracks that are related to the themes that are getting played and a nice Twitch set list, and then you have a sort of interactive media collage that happens live. That's what I want to do, and I think I'll jump on that in this next week. See if I can stride towards getting that. I was actually talking to a couple of web developers that I was trying to get the exact tools you're talking about made, and all that. Yeah, they just all kind of ghosted me. I'm not sure why. But yeah, I'll pick that thread back up. That's one of those things where I don't know where you guys fall in this, and this is another huge question to bite off. But when you think about something cool to make, and this is almost timeless question for creative endeavors, how much do you just think that's cool, I'm going to go do it and get as close to what I imagine is cool about it as I can? How much do you sort of interrupt that with, well, okay, what would people want? What would work? What would expand my audience and things like that? Do you ever think about marketing and virality when it comes to your creative endeavors?
I think I start with practicality, where I have a motivation for, man, this would make a really cool show. Okay, how would this actually exist? And then how would this be sustainable? Is kind of the first two gates that it has to hurdle. And then if those both pass, then it becomes, all right, who would be good to work with on this? Because I've learned that it's inevitably better. It's 100% always better to be working with an expert, or even if it's not an expert, but someone else that's passionate in what you're doing, than trying to take it on by yourself. I mean, there are some exceptions. Some people really live in the auteur world where they want to handle everything, and they do it best that way. But I've fallen in that trap before, and it is a very dangerous one. So
yeah.
Those are kind of my first steps, and then it becomes okay, after talking with them, we get to see how feasible they think it is. Are they motivated as well? Is this worth it for them, for their time? And then if all of those are yes, then it becomes, okay, when can we do this? And, how high of a priority is it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm very different from Criken. I think mainly because of my brain doesn't work in a way that's completely practical with every idea. So it needs to be reined in a lot of the time by people around me giving good advice. But definitely when I know I'm gonna make something and I'm making it maybe on my own, just a short, if it's a video or whatever, I very much go with exactly what I want to put in is what I prioritize putting in. And there's limitations sometimes, things will if something is limited, I'd rather just remove it than put it in at all. But I've worked with a few people it was for a director who wanted a scene shot this very specific way, done perfectly. And he was the kind of guy who we would just sit there watching the scene back, and then he'd come over and be moving things centimeters just to get them just right. I think I would be like that if I could, but with time and stuff, you don't always have everything you need. The last example, I think, there was a show we wanted to pitch. Criken, you know this show.
I do.
And really, it's very unrealistic because, like, the funds we'd need, it'd be really hard to get the funds, keeping the show true to the idea that it is. So I'm not willing. There was a time I was willing to pitch it and give them, more production power to really rein it in and say, like, we'll give you all the money you need and we'll make the show, but we'll take this, and this out. I think deep down I'd rather save, like, my own money and, like, over a few years to produce the show, have it run one episode and that be it. And I think that's way better than having, like, other people come in with quote unquote good advice and, safety regulations and things like that. But yeah, I'm definitely on the more driven artistically side than practical or rational.
And there's also the consideration that people just aren't really that impressed by jumping the Grand Canyon on a motorcycle anymore.
It's true.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were. It was very cool.
The show that Dave is alluding to, I believe we can capture that same mystique as the Grand Canyon jumping. This is a feat of mental and physical prowess. Unfortunately, I don't think we should share anymore to keep it under wraps. But Lawrence, should we get this thing made, you will be on the list. Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Hey.
Because I know you are willing to take risks.
Oh yeah.
Both in your content, creatively, and with your body, and that's just what we need.
With Absolutely. Your body, especially, mm-hmm. Especially with your
80% body, 20% creative.
I'm okay with that, man. There's something that I've had to make my reckoning with, though, as I get older, is that as romantic as I think cashing in my, like, physical health for cool shots was, that is where ultimately my attraction to it lies. That I thought there was some kind of romantic martyrdom to it. But luckily I've shoved all that luggage way back in the closet. So yeah, if you want to hit somebody with a car, I'm your man. I got the pads and everything.
I don't need a stunt double. Just fucking hit me.
I think I'm still in that phase, Lawrence. I'm definitely still in that phase of, like, putting, like, an artist truly dedicated. Because I've looked at, like, people who are really recognized in art, like painting. Like, just take artists who paint. People really, there's something about the death of an artist that really drives up the value of their art, because it's like, once this is done and this person is gone, you will never get this style of art quite like this again. So similar with, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna, like, get hit by a car and wreck my body. I'm probably not gonna get hit by a car again. And there was an artistry to that. I'm kind of there, like, what would I do for, like, my art or what I believe in? Would I lock myself in a cage with a shark? Maybe. Would I do something horrible to my body for a really, really good joke? That's a scary thought I have that keeps me up at night. The answer is always yes in the end, but, you try to talk yourself out of it, but I just can't shake it.
I fully understand. Like, the creative fire, the wanting to accomplish something, I guess to carve out a space for yourself almost. What really mellowed me out with that was I did an element or a chunk of stunt training. Stephanie got me, like, a really nice Christmas gift, and it was a stunt training school in Georgia. But the instructors were, in their 50s, 60s, still working, but you could, like, it didn't come and go and not leave its mark. Had problems walking, standing, had to lay down on the floor for a while. So that is, no one does it for free, despite what the movies make it look like. And that kind of sobered me up a little bit. I think you can intellectually, understand how long life is, and I think how things can add up. And especially, like, lately, especially given, like, my work history in 2019, I've been thinking so much about sustainability and individual happiness. But still, man, that call is too strong to do something awesome. I can't remember, again, going back to this like tweet about happy moments from childhood, and this is so stereotypical, but it did literally go down this way. I remember we lived in this like super kind of low population town, and we were neighbors with somebody who was like a Texas state judge. So he was pretty well off. I remember being just so impressed that their family had a trash compactor in their house. It's just levels of opulence heretofore unseen. But I was a little bit younger than their kids, and their kids were like, this is my memory now, so this is fully subjective. They were just like in that perfect like asshole range where they were like 12, 13. You know, young boys. Definitely didn't want to hang out with a crappy little 5 or 6 year old. But what they would do is invent horrifically dangerous stunts for me to do.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was horrible in retrospect, but awesome when I think back on it, and very characteristic. But I was like, I think 6 or 7, or maybe 5, like old enough to remember a lot of beats of what happened. Basically, they built this like just utterly crappy wooden ramp, and they built it and didn't use it because they had proper amounts of fear. And then we were all sitting around on our bikes, and I was like, hey, I'll hit this. Like, I don't even think they had to prompt me. And I remember just bombing into it as absolutely fast as I could. We had a nice hill. And all I remember is just seeing a blur of sky and then ground and then sky and then nothing. Like, I didn't really remember what happened after that.
No.
Yeah, I imagine it had to be sick as hell because I know I at least did one full flip. And when my next memory is standing in their very fancy bathroom, I remember again being taken by this, how like the wall had rocks in it. You know, this is like a 6-year-old who grows up in a pretty small Texas town. These things are amazing. It had like a wall-to-wall sink, just the nicest bathroom you could imagine. And I remember looking in the mirror and seeing myself with like a busted lip, a bloody nose, and then just like grass all in my hair. Like, it couldn't have been more perfect. I think they were trying to clean me up before they sent me home. And before they had to explain that they let a 6-year-old just nail a sick ramp. But yeah, I remember thinking back on that, and I'm not sure why I did that. I guess kids have no mortality. That's probably part of it. But I remember even then, man, just being like, this is going to be awesome. You know, I think in my head I thought it would be like E.T., where I just soar gracefully through the sky,
Yeah.
high five a bird, and then like land and cruise away while everybody's gasping and cheering. Didn't quite play that way. Yeah, it's possible, Hoffman, that I just went off the edge of the ramp and flipped directly into the ground, and it wasn't cool.
Yeah, it was like half a foot of like just fell over and then flat down.
Like the gears locked up on the way to the ramp, and I just fell over before I even hit it or something. Memory's a powerful thing.
I was like weirdly not that type of kid. I would not put myself in harm's way if I could help it. I was very cautious. I don't know why.
You
I
still
guess...
are, Criken. Extremely cautious.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Dave, you were with me in
when we were in London. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah,
that was not a cautious move. That was a dangerous bit that I. So Lawrence, what was it, like 2 years ago? We were in London for RTX London, and I went to go visit. Well, Dave came into London to visit with us, and we all stayed together and like went to the convention together. And I got on a plane to get there before Cow Chop and the rest of the boys. And from our hotel, we had a really good view of the train station, and we saw them arriving. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go down there and we're going to like scare them. And like, so Dave and the other boys came with us, and I was like, oh, it's going to be so great. And the reality of the scenario was they are maybe, I don't know, 30 feet away. No, probably more than that. Like 40 feet away in like an open field, or it's like an open piece of the sidewalk. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go scare them. And it's just like 40 feet from where I am to them.
Okay.
And I mean, look, I'm a tall, gangly motherfucker. Like, as Dave says, I'm a cryptid with a long neck. And
that was a one time. I said it once.
Yes.
I don't usually call him this.
He really insulted me in an apology video to me. He later qualified that in this apology video he was meant to bleep those parts out, but he didn't have time, which is somehow just 10 times worse. But yeah, so I like enter cryptid mode, and I like start like hunched over, like knees bent, like scurrying towards them, in the attempt of like being this cursed thing they would see, like approach them as I'm yelling for them. And I think I also was like sleep. Everyone was sleep deprived. There was no sleep on the way there. And so I'm like scurrying up towards them. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you crouch down and run up a hill, it's really hard on your legs, because basically as I was running up this hill, in this like weird formation, the surface was getting like higher and higher as my leg was finding it faster and faster, which was meaning my balance was getting worse and worse, and I start leaning forward and forward and forward until eventually I'm like, I know I'm gonna fall, but I'm already going too fast that I can't stop. So I'm like scurrying towards them, and what makes it worse is they turn over and look at me like halfway there. So it's not even I'm scaring them anymore. I'm quietly doing this crazy move towards them, and then I just fucking eat shit. I just tumble. I fall forward, and I just keep flip. I felt like I flipped. I don't think I did, but I like skid off it, like into the street a little bit even, and I like land on my back. My pants got ripped up. Like those jeans are ruined now, and I just lay there, and I'm like, if I could be swallowed up by the earth this moment and avoid what I know is gonna come, then I will take it. But the worst part is I got up and they weren't even laughing. They were like, "What was
okay?
that?" Yeah, they're just like, but like they couldn't tell. They thought falling was a bit. It wasn't a bit. I really just ate shit. But it wasn't even like a funny fall. It seemed like it just looked like something ridiculous happened, and everyone was just staring at it like they didn't know why that happened. So yeah, I don't know why I started this story, but I'm.
It's the time you were the most physically.
Yes, that was risky.
Unconcerned.
What I did.
You did.
Right.
You put it all on the line for a great joke.
I put all on the line for a great joke, and was it a great joke?
Sounds pretty good to me. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
thanks, guys.
Criken, like I like the contrast between us, because unlike you, I was a danger child. I lived. Danger was my middle name.
I know.
I did anything and everything. I fell off of things a lot, broke my leg, like my ankles, like all the time. My parents probably thought I wasn't gonna make it past maybe 15, just because of how much I disregarded like safety and things. To some extent, I'm still like that. There's things I know I won't do, because I'll definitely die. But for the most part, if it's like to jump off of something, I'd probably still do it and break my leg.
Was that your dominant?
But I don't.
Was that your dominant stunt when you were a kid? Just jumping off of tall things or falling off of tall things?
It was climbing trees. And I remember once there was a coconut tree, and no one was okay. The dominating thing is that no one was ever around to see me do a lot of the things I did. So there was a coconut tree, and I climbed up it to get a coconut, and obviously I don't know why, I just didn't think like moving one hand to try and knock something out of the tree would make me lose balance. So I just slid all the way down like uncontrolled. And
are those like really sharp? Or no, that's a pineapple tree.
It was kind of smooth, but like ridged.
Palm tree.
Oh,
so it goes like in and out, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just go all the way down, and I don't know what I landed on. I was okay. I was perfectly fine because of my, I guess children have like bouncy bones or still soft bones, so they don't get destroyed as easily. But yeah, that was, and I mean, Criken, that I ate a nail as a kid, just because that's the kind of thing kids do, and I'm perfectly fine for it.
Consumed a nail. Did it ever come out?
Yes.
Question mark.
I would hope you would.
It's not
know.
there anymore.
Are you sure?
He digested it. That's why he's so strong.
Yeah, I think
Dave's
think
one of the
it's
strongest guys I
digested.
know. His
Can stomach acid digest what? Was it like a steel? Was it an alloy, or was it? I mean, if
It was probably iron.
if it's straight
I think it was
iron,
iron.
damn, you must be healthy.
yeah.
This is well, we have our dude soup, or sorry, oh boy, flashback. We have our talk to the internet question of the week. Not doing that anymore. Can stomach acid dissolve a typical construction nail? Did you get this out of the box, or did you find it on the ground, or did you pull it out of the wall?
I think I found it from, like, it probably dropped on the ground from a toolbox because my parents were both engineers. So there were a lot of tools and stuff outside, like, around. And I knew what a nail was. I see, you know, with hammers and stuff. I knew what it was. But it was also, you know, the SpongeBob thing where the guy says he ate nails for breakfast. So there's this conflict in my mind where are nails for eating or are they for nailing? Both is the answer I came to.
No, one of them.
Okay.
Not both.
I mean,
One of them primarily. The other one is extremely, extremely secondary.
yeah, Dave is here, and as we can all see, an absolute specimen. He's some sort of genetic hybrid of two extremely important video game mascots. And
That's right.
if that's not a character that for the sake of audio listeners, Dave's Discord avatar is a sublime mix of Sonic the Hedgehog and Diddy Kong, with the most important parts of each represented, I'd say. The strengths of both and the weaknesses of neither. Not that Sonic the Hedgehog has any weaknesses.
His attitude is
Thank
a
you.
weakness.
I don't know about that. You need a winning attitude sometimes, Criken.
Look,
People may hate it, but it's true.
in our last Sonic Club, Sonic foray, we discussed the implications that Sonic recruited Tails to be a child soldier in his war against Eggman. And the evidence is all there. It's all there. And it's frankly, it's made me question Sonic's integrity as a character.
I'm questioning Tails more than anything.
What?
He was on this path way before Sonic met him.
He's a child.
Consider
was
sorry,
a child.
we don't want to get into this.
we
It's
always
a very
bring this debate
controversial
wherever
topic.
we go.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry,
We
Lawrence.
No,
can't stop fighting about this.
This is ideal, and in fact, I'm gonna throw some gas on here. Have you considered? This is just a theoretical, but if Sonic weren't there to be a support network for Tails, Tails could have gone to Dr. Eggman, and who knows how his life would have turned out then. At least now he has protection. He has a friend.
He doesn't have protection.
What you think Sonic would abandon? Oh, actually, yeah, without a question. Sonic.
No!
I mean, let's
No!
let's consider the canon of the games. All right, how many times when you're playing Sonic 2 do you stick around and wait for Tails?
Nope, never.
He catches up.
Tails, yeah, he catches up. Sonic is outrunning Tails.
Because I believe
Tails
in him. I
shows
know
up
he's going to
eventually.
show up.
Yeah, okay, you can justify it all you want, but you leave him off to fight the robots that you can outrun. He eventually shows up like, Sonic, I finally found you. And then you say, yeah, I gotta catch it up. And then he just fucking goes away again.
Trademark catchphrase.
In true Sonic, try to keep up, and you run.
Yeah. And then you see Tails eat it on a spike, and you laugh. You just wait.
Oh,
Man.
that always made me feel bad. Every
Yeah?
time seeing Tails just like get hurt, I always felt bad about that.
Okay.
'Cause he's my buddy. He's Sonic's little buddy.
I think Dave might understand the true meaning of Sonic a little more out of all of us here, because I gotta admit, when I see Tails eat it, I don't feel an ounce of sympathy, not even a little bit.
Dave is the epitome of Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think I've met anyone that's more a fan of anything and is so earnest about that. Like, you know, at this point in our I don't know, today, I feel like if you're a fan of something, it's almost an ironic fan of a thing. It's very rare that it's like pure, you know, unrestrained, genuine, you know, love and affection for a character or fandom or whatever. And yeah, Dave still embodies everything that Sonic did, in, you know, for better or for worse.
Sonic is a bit of a stunt man. He's a bit of a daredevil, a bit of a risk taker.
I would bet that's a lot of the reason why Dave is the way he is, why he's eating
You
nails
guys,
and shit.
I'm learning things about myself I never considered.
What if you had been, you know, a fan of Tails instead, and instead you were just a really good friend to everyone? I know I would appreciate that more. Than, your current destructive path that I have to watch from afar and think
and try and follow as I wreck everything. I mean, if I was a fan of Tales, I'd be happy to be a good friend to everyone. Thought I was for a while there, but clearly not. I'm seeing that now.
Well, the truth comes out. It always does. It finds a way.
Again, this podcast it's good for one thing, and that's sorting through the tangle of mental stresses and baggage that we've stacked up over the years, largely related to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever felt
we're all child soldiers in a small way because of what Sonic's done.
Yes, he's recruited us all, and we're happy to be here. Man, all right. Well, that could go places, but I think we've covered the breadth of the human existence this week on Talk to the Internet.
Yeah.
Criken, Dave, thank you so much. Dave, thank you for guessing and thank you for subbing in for our birthday boy. Where can people find you
and having me?
More of your insights and cool stunts?
Oh my gosh. My Twitch channel that I sometimes stream on, very, very rarely, might I add, is the one place. Dave 5005. Otherwise, on Criken stream from time to time, we have Sonic Club there. And that's about it.
All right. Criken, are you up to anything tonight, or you taking it easy? Someone in chat asked if you were.
I haven't decided yet. I have not been able to stop thinking about this shrunk adventure in Divinity. I've been looking up builds on the side, and it's infected my brain. And whenever that happens, I need to just play it, if not to completion, but until I'm satisfied. And I'm not satisfied yet. So, if Dave's down, we might end up playing more of that. But we'll see.
All right. Well, if I know one thing, it's hard to go to sleep when unrequited scenes of Shrek are dancing around in your mind. So,
yeah,
I wish nothing but smooth pastures and creative release for you. Lord knows you've been edging for a while. Just thinking
Don't
about dick with a nipple on it again.
Phrase, but it's more like a giant nipple with 4 dicks coming out of it. That's kind of what an udder is for a male cow or a bull.
Ah, well, I've had the wrong mental image this whole time, but that's okay. I can scrub it. All right, and I guess I'm gonna, man. I don't know why. I'm just in the mood. I gotta play more Doom Eternal. I got a personal best on my Ultra Nightmare run. Yay!
Really?
That's awesome.
I'm feeling
Ultra
very
Nightmare.
motivated. Yeah, it's a
goodness.
permadeath. You have to beat the whole game without dying.
Whoa!
Technically, you can die once. There's a rune that lets you do it, but
How good are you now?
not good enough. That's for sure. But it's interesting. I think what I love so much is that I really enjoy challenging myself with pre-made things to jump over. I love climbing mountains, especially artificial ones, because there's a staircase somewhere. Which is also kind of leading to what I love is the dynamic is when it came to the week off, I was thinking I'll just do a prescribed task. I'll buy a giant puzzle and put it together. But you guys are definitely more in the take that time and make something interesting with it. So thank you for dragging me out of my doldrums of just looking for tasks to accomplish.
Well, I hope you enjoy your dusty, puzzle piece, jigsaw puzzle. That's what it's called. I literally forgot the word.
My one huge, it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's just one giant, but it's really dusty. It's immensely dusty.
You dump it out on your your living room table. It's done.
Yeah. I look at it with nothing but satisfaction for 7 days straight. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. On this stream, I'll be back with Doom Eternal in just a second. But thank you guys again, and we'll talk next week.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.